Today we're looking at the most affordable cities in the Dallas Metroplex. Now in this particular video, we're looking at the right side of the Metroplex. We're looking at Collin County and Dallas County. Now in addition to that criteria, we're only factoring in cities that have at least a population of 50,000, which is a good population to cover in the DFW Metroplex because that guarantees that you at least have some infrastructure in the cities and you have plenty of amenities to work with. So we're not going to really look at those small towns that are quickly becoming cities that are a little bit further away from the Metroplex. And another requirement for all of the cities that we're featuring today is that they need to be at most 25 minutes away from downtown Dallas. So anything 25 minutes or less is eligible. So with that being said, I want to welcome you to the DFW Homeowner YouTube channel. My name is Jaime Resendez. I'm a realtor and team leader able to help you make money in real estate whether you're buying or selling. All right, so let's start off with number 7 and truly one of the classics, and that's Garland, Texas. Located in Dallas County, northeast of Dallas, and has a population of about 240,000. Garland is one of those OG cities that was one of the first suburbs of Dallas. And it's been interesting to see how Garland has been able to maintain its notoriety as being one of the most affordable suburbs of North Dallas. And at this point, given its location, you're not going to find too many new homes in Garland. Most of the homes that are available are going to be resales, or they're going to be homes that have been rehabbed, so they're like new. And with that, I want to show you something that I think you might find interesting. What you're seeing on the screen is a visual representation of when homes were built. The lighter the color, the older the homes. So you can see that most of Garland is a little bit older. And the newer homes, which is reflected via a darker red, can be seen on the north side of Garland. So essentially, most of the new communities can be found around the George Bush Turnpike. And the average price of Garland homes is $363,000. And number 6, I'm giving it to a resurging city, which is Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie is actually in Dallas, Tarrant, and in Ellis County, and located on the west side of Dallas with the 200,000 population. To this day, this is a city that I recommend for just about all of my clients that are trying to stay in the central part of the DFW Metroplex, or for those that want to buy in Dallas because they work in Dallas, they just can't afford it. And it's one of those cities that's really had a resurgence over the past 10 years. It's doing so many great things by bringing powerhouse companies like IKEA, all brand new stores around the George Bush Turnpike, an incredible indoor water park, and a police department building you won't even believe. Grand Prairie is one of those cities that I look at quite fondly because it's really treated myself and my family quite well. Because at one point, 3 of my siblings were actually working in Grand Prairie but lived in Arlington. So I like Grand Prairie a lot, and the average price point there is around $411,000. So it's still quite affordable, especially when you're in the middle of everything. And number 5, I'm giving it to Rowlett. Rowlett is in Dallas and Rockwall counties, northeast of Dallas, with a population of 73,000. Rowlett's one of those cities that goes under the radar far too often. It's one of those cities that most of the people within Dallas that don't live close to Rowlett only recognize it because they're driving through the George Bush Turnpike. But here as of late, Rowlett has really been pushing the envelope. At this point, the secret is out. And one of the big reasons is because of Sapphire Bay, which will be Texas' first resort destination anchored by a man-made lagoon. So you're gonna have a huge resort with restaurants, retail, and entertainment all throughout. And again, over the years, Rowlett has just been stacking up awards without a lot of people taking notice. As an example, over the past 6 years, it's been ranked a top 10 safest city in Texas. And now let's bring back our heat map, because I think you'll find the comparison between Garland and Rowlett quite interesting, where you see most of Rowlett being covered by a darker red, which means newer houses, newer communities, and all things considered, geographically, it's quite comparable to Garland. Now, the downside you're going to have in Rowlett is that if you want to get out of town without seeing a red light, then you do have to pay a toll on George Bush Turnpike. And the average price is still quite affordable for the DFW Metroplex at $449,000. And with number 4, I'm showing my respects to the south side of Dallas with making number 4 DeSoto, because most of the time when you hear about the suburbs and the growth and everything going on in the Metroplex, you hear of cities like Allen, Plano, McKinney, Frisco, and all of those awesome cities. Now, while they're great, those cities can't make this type of list, the affordability list. Now, to fully get your bearings, now DeSoto is located in Dallas County and is on the south side of Dallas with a 53,000 population. DeSoto is one of those cities that I've always thought of being a side of the highway type of cities. Now, it's no disrespect. I know it sounds like I'm throwing a little bit of shade because of the terminology, but it has everything that you need. It's just one of those cities that's so accessible and has all of the fundamentals. It has the school system, it has hotels, it has restaurants that you're gonna really be able to recognize because there's a major highway that borders your city. DeSoto just has all of the essentials at the right price. However, it's not gonna be a city that you're gonna find a lot of new construction in. All of the sales are gonna essentially be resales, and the average price point that you're looking at is about $435,000. And number 3, I have to give it to another OG and one of my favorites actually, which is Mesquite. It's located in Dallas County on the east side of Dallas and has a population of 140,000. Now, Mesquite is one of those cities that I send to clients that really couldn't care less about Fort Worth or being close to the central part of the Metroplex. Mesquite is one of those cities that will put you pretty close at a reasonable price to Dallas. And it's quite accessible given that you can hop on I-30, I-635, Highway 80, and in a short drive you can get onto I-20 as well. Now with Mesquite, you can find new communities, but you're looking on the east side of town at that point. So your accessibility to the interstates is going to be a little bit different. There you're looking at a few stoplights before you can get onto the highways. But with all things considered, whether you buy new or buy a resale or buy a rehabbed property, altogether you're going to come out like a bandit because the average price point in Mesquite is $330,000. So as an example, a completely renovated home in Mesquite, you can get one of those for $350,000 pretty comfortably. Now that same home just 10 minutes east, let's talk about Deep Ellum as an example. Well, those rehabbed homes, those are going to cost about $650,000. So I like the price, I like the accessibility, and I just like Mesquite. And number 2, I have to go with one of my favorites, Louisville. For the most part, Louisville is in Denton County, but does have some Dallas County in it. It's northwest of Dallas and has a population of 107,000. Now, I know in this video, I keep saying that this is one of my favorites. And you may be getting a little bit frustrated because they can't all be one of my favorites. But here's the thing, simply because they make this list already, that's already me leading the witness. There's a reason that these cities make this affordable cities list because these are my preferred cities. These are the cities that I place clients in. These are the cities that I know have the inventory at the right price. So it's the cities that didn't make this list that you should be worried about, especially those cities that have a lower average sales price. So again, there's a reason that I've selected these cities because either I personally would love to live in these cities or I have placed a lot of the clients in these cities and I recommend them all the time. But with that being said, Louisville is quite interesting. It has such a diverse community and a diverse economy. A lot of people don't realize this, but Louisville is essentially a recreation economy. It has a ton of car dealerships, quite a few RV dealerships as well, and it has so many boat dealerships that it's actually second across the entire country in boat sales. Yeah, I was surprised too. It's nowhere close to an ocean, but I suppose there's a reason that Louisville Lake is called Louisville Lake. Louisville is one of those cities that's so well positioned. It's one of those main arteries of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex because you've got I-35 East, you have the Sam Rayburn Tollway, which is 121 as well, and you're a stone throw away from George Bush Turnpike. So if you live in Louisville, you can quickly make your way through the DFW Metroplex pretty easy. So there's not as much new construction anymore, but the newer communities can be found east of town and south of town. And if you're looking to move to Louisville, the average price point is $444,000. Okay, now for the top spot. This too is one of my favorites, but before we actually reveal it, humor me for a second. Please pause this video and type your guess down below. Let me know in the comment section which city you think got the top spot. All right, so hopefully you did participate and you have a guess down in the comment section. But without further ado, the top spot goes to Wiley. Wiley is located in Collin County, north of Dallas, and has a population of 57,000. Wiley is one of those cities that's been on my radar long before I even became a realtor. It's one one of those cities that, because of its location and lack of infrastructure early on, kept it from growing as fast as it should have. Now things have changed. It looks radically different now, and even though it doesn't have an interstate running through Wiley, it's still one of the best cities that you can live in. And ever since I became a realtor, every time I get asked about, I want the largest house that I could possibly afford, yet I need to be as close to Dallas as possible and have it be as new as possible, I would always recommend Wiley. Because if you're looking for a newer house that's quite big and pretty darn close to Dallas, I just didn't have anything else. Or technically that's not right. I could have also included Sachse in this list as well, which is right down the road from Wiley. Because every time we would go look at homes, we would hit up homes in Wiley, Sachse, and Murphy. So that little triangle right there has some big houses. And as you can see in this heat map, the estimated cost per square foot is some of the lowest in the DFW Metroplex. So the lighter the blue, the less expensive per square foot. And if you overlay the heat map that tells you the year built, you can see that that Wiley, Sachse, and Murphy triangle is a lot redder, which means the homes are newer. And while the city is much more developed now, you still do find new construction in Wiley. So there's still a huge opportunity for you to either buy resales that aren't that old at all or buy new. And although Wiley does have the highest average price point of all the cities that we've covered today with $499,000, it's actually not that bad considering you're going to find a lot of newer homes and larger homes in Wiley. But with all that being said, let me know in the comment section down below which cities we got right or which cities we got wrong. And also, if you have an opinion on which cities should have been included in here, let me know as well.